Hey there, you ready to wake up? Wake up to your life. I am your host of this podcast, Colleen Odegaard. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're talking about social media and scrolling happier. Does a steady diet of Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or X, does it leave you feeling depleted? Do you find yourself experiencing feelings of jealousy, maybe even anger? It just doesn't make you feel good? Then this is the episode for you. I'm talking today with social media and personal brand expert Katie McKeever about how you can curate a feed that is feeding you and making you feel good. Katie, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, you love this topic because first off, you believe wholeheartedly that we need to be using social media for good. Say more.
Yes. I mean, let's use these channels. These are feeds and channels that we can control. And let's not forget that. We can customize these, have them be what we want them to be. So if you're scrolling and feeling yuck about things that are popping up on your feed, there's a reason for that, and you can do something about it. So that's the exciting part, is that you don't have to just succumb to what show is shown to you on your feeds. You can just make them what you want them to be. We've already talked about it a little bit on Charlotte today, but like, you have options and you can take action to customize your feed. It's really cool.
So I love going on Instagram, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it feeds me comedians. It knows that I'm into comedy, so I love watching comedians. It feeds me cute puppy and dog videos. I get those all the time, and rarely do I get triggered anymore. But let's talk about some of those tools that we can use to create a feed that is bringing you joy and lighting you up. Pay attention to who you follow and who you should not follow.
Yes. So I am all about this. I think so many of us, and I'm kind of speaking to women here.
Sure.
I think so many of us think we need to follow certain people, or, you know, we need to be looking in certain places for inspiration for our lifestyle and things that maybe serve us, maybe don't. But I want us to think about the way what direction do we need to be looking in when we're thinking about social media and people we're following. Sometimes we look to the 20s and 30s influencers and think, I want to be cute, I want to do fun things, but maybe that's not our ministry. Maybe that's not our way of life anymore. We might want it to still be, but it's not. We're in our 40s and 50s maybe at this point, and we're in a different phase of life. So why don't we look the other way? Look for some older individuals, potentially, some people doing really cool, big things like national people, or people doing, wellness work, or things that are inspirational to you. I mentioned that I follow astronauts, like female astronauts. Like, what? It like blows my mind. And like doctors, researchers, scientists, like there are people out there, and there are these accounts out there that you can get this information from and feel inspired, enriched, educated whenever their content comes across your feed, as opposed to a really cute, amazing, good-looking influencer, but like that's not where we are anymore, maybe.
Yes, and paying attention to how you feel when you consume that content. If you were following the 20-something influencer, and her body is perfect, her clothes are perfect, her skin is perfect, her hair is perfect, her outfits are great, her home is cute, she takes fabulous vacations to Fiji, and you find yourself seething with jealousy, then maybe that's not an account you should follow.
And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. People, they will find their people and you will find yours. Like, this is the place to figure out who you want to follow. So like, if there are those people that you've already followed and you're like, maybe I want to get off this train, you can do that. You don't have to follow them anymore. You could simply unfollow them or hide their content. And so there are ways to like make this yours. And I like to say the power is literally in your hands. Like, hello, yes. Literally in your hands to use these platforms for what you want them to be.
Uh-huh. Who's the person you follow? Joan something. She's in her 80s. Can you tell everyone about her?
Okay, at Train with Joan on Instagram. She is in her 80s. She's a weightlifter, and y'all, she is incredible. Her body, I mean, I'm talking about biceps, I'm talking about abs, and like, who wouldn't be inspired by that? And I'm like, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to be like. And I see myself, however many decades ahead of me, like, let me go in that direction and let me see Joan's biceps and squat presses in my feed, so I can be like, all right, this is attainable at this age, then daggone it, I'm going to get there. And that's something I can look forward to.
Right. And then your feed is fun and empowering, and you're learning something. The reasons that we should be using social media, right, where it's empowering and good for us. There is somebody, Katie, I used to follow. I followed her, and her stuff bugged me. She's a local person, and she'd get on my nerves. And then I kept following her, and then it became kind of hate following. I'd be like, oh my God, did you see what she posted? I thought, what am I doing? I'm a grown woman, and I'm sitting here hate following this person. She just reeked of inauthenticity to me. And every time I opened my feed, there she was building this grand house, and it was preposterous. I found it to be preposterous. So guess what I did? I finally unfollowed it. So I've been there. I know what it is to, she just got on my nerves, and I couldn't understand why other people were following her, and I was just being petty.
Yeah.
But it didn't serve me, so I unfollowed it.
That's great. And you learned that about yourself, and you grew, and you took action. And I think that's amazing to learn about yourself. And yeah, you don't have to follow them. But I mean, this is just to think about, like, that was another thing I mentioned, is just not comparing yourself to other people, because this is the highlight reel. Everybody's going to show you the latest, most fabulous thing about their life, and it's not real. It is not real. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting that inauthentic thought around content or somebody's profile, then that is truly what it is, and maybe you could just opt out.
Mm-hmm. That comparing thing, as we know, comparison is the thief of joy, and you're comparing your insides to somebody else's highlight reel, and you're not going to win, right, if that's what you're doing. So you do have to keep that front of mind, but it can be hard not to compare, right? Especially if you're following people who are in your age bracket, your demo, whatever, and it somehow seems their lives are so much better than yours. But I think what you just said, it's consciously, intentionally remembering they're showcasing you the best parts. I often believe that we should be posting like what we look like first thing we wake up in the morning, or like when you're scrubbing your toilet and cleaning your house. We should post that stuff to remind ourselves we're all more alike than we think we are.
Yeah. And this brings me to a big point that I think about how we need to use social media, and truly what the goal of social media should be, in my eyes, is that it needs to bring us more to in real life connecting, this face-to-face that Colleen and I are doing right now. And that's truly, because I mean, we're all, isolated, we're, scrolling on our phones, and we're just feeling that more and more, kind of this loneliness thing. And I hate that. And I hate that that's where we are in society right now. But social media can be a tool to correct that. And how that is the case is that we can use social media to find those opportunities for in-person connection. And to do that is, I want us to use social media as a supplement to our life, not vice versa. So like, not using social media as the default, but use social media as the conduit to connecting in real life with people. This is Facebook groups. There are tons of local Facebook groups that you can find like-minded people. You can you can ask people to go meet up. You can form new friendships in that way. There are Instagram accounts that post local events or events, where you're going to go vacation. You can find cool things to do and cool people to meet up with. That's a way to use Instagram. Talk about LinkedIn. We're networking on LinkedIn. And yes, some people think LinkedIn is like a snooze fest, and I get that. And I can have that conversation for sure, but maybe it's a snooze fest, but you can network with people and then, hey, ask them for coffee. And look, you've just made a connection that could further your career. So that's truly the goal, is to use these platforms for the tool and the conduit to get in person with people.
Yeah, if you're using it that way, it's so much more beneficial for your life. We're going to take a break right now and talk more about ways we can be bold on social media and use our voices for good. That comes your way right after this break. You're listening to Wake Up to Your Life. Welcome back to Wake Up to Your Life. My guest today is Katie McKeever, a social media expert and personal brand strategist. We are talking about social media, how to use it for good. Before the break, you were talking about some people say that LinkedIn is a snooze fest. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, okay. LinkedIn, it doesn't get the best rep, but you can make moves on LinkedIn, and big moves, big money moves, to be quite honest, and opportunities can come come to you on LinkedIn or elsewhere just by showing up on platforms, any platform truly, but LinkedIn is a really strategic one to show up on because that's where the money is. I mean, literally, that's where the business is happening. That's where people are looking to make transaction moves, money moves, business moves. So it has a different flavor than the other platforms. Think of it like Instagram, TikTok, all the other ones are passive scrolling entertainment. You go to LinkedIn and you're already thinking money, transaction, business, career. I know that's not the most fun thing sometimes, but you already have cut through so much noise on LinkedIn because that's what everybody else is thinking at the same time on that platform. So how you can take control of that and kind of make good use of your LinkedIn presence is being visible on there and having a personal brand and talking and posting about things that you're an expert in and you're knowledgeable about. I mean, if you have got 10, 15, 20 some odd years under your belt in a career, like you have knowledge that I might need to know. And like, let's post about it and talk about it and build your personal brand so you're known as an expert and other people see you and you're visible and you're out there and you're recognized for what you know. And then on the other side of that, opportunities come in your inbox. I'm talking speaking. I'm talking podcast guest requests. I'm talking news segment. You know, you can be requested to come on news shows. Like, it's incredible what could be on the other side of that. That's how I've done it. I just have been posting about stuff I know about for years now. And look how it ends up.
Right. And I ask you to come on the show. Come on Charlotte Today. Come on Wake Up to Your Life. And you've done lots of speaking engagements and you teach about this. Maybe when, you know, as you say that, I think there are a lot of people who think, oh, I'm too embarrassed to show up on LinkedIn or Instagram. I don't know what to say. Oh, that's stupid if I say that. That's so basic. Everybody knows that. We take for granted what it is that we know that we think other people do too, and they may not. So do you have any advice for people who think they'd like to venture out into LinkedIn or any of the platforms, really, if they just want to show up online to share their area of expertise or share some motivation or share something funny?
Yeah. And it's funny because I do want to address the cringe factor of posting anywhere a lot of times, but LinkedIn especially has that thought of this is cringy or this is weird or this is scary or this is uncomfortable. And that could very well be the case. And I feel that too. So acknowledged, accepted, but we're going to do it anyway.
Right.
I mean,
right.
We're going to do it anyway. I come on Charlotte Today with Colleen. I'm still nervous. And I mean, whatever, we're doing it anyway. So just let's acknowledge that, but we're going to get through that and we're going to do it anyway because people need our information. What's on the other side of that cringe and that scary is the fact that we care more about the people that we can help. And therefore we're going to work through the weirdness and the funkiness. So what you can do, and I have a personal brand workbook. It's called the 3-2-1-GO Personal Brand Framework. And it works you through a framework of how to post online, specifically even on LinkedIn. So a really simple way, I know I say simple, not necessarily easy, but to get started with this is to post 3 types of posts and you just rotate through these type of posts. And this is anything this is all knowledge you have in your brain already. It's not anything new. You don't have to go research. You don't have to go put together a 10-page paper to put out this post. This is all stuff you already have in your brain and you're ready to rock. So one post that you can make tomorrow, today, is something that you've learned this week. We've all learned something this week. We've all listened to a newscast. We've all read a news article. We've all listened to a podcast. We've all gained some kind of knowledge in our field or something that's related to us that we can post about. You've all read a book or gotten some knowledge of some kind. So you can post a link to that podcast that you just listened to, maybe this one. And you can say, hey, I learned this today and I'm really inspired by it because it speaks to this part of my career and this thing that I'm in the industry of. So that's one way to get your foot in the door and to just kind of tiptoe into this pool of LinkedIn posting. The second post that you can make, and again, you just rotate through these. This could be one post a week, even if I had to give you a prescription for how this works. One post a week, that's your first one. Your second one is something you are proud of. So we all have things we're proud of. And yeah, you might have to talk about something, kind of self-promotional, but like, you did a good job giving that presentation yesterday in front of your team, or you did a good job, putting that event together or whatever, and you're sharing the pictures of that. But you can also tell about how that came to be, or, some information, educational information about your industry and why this is important to you and why it should, it should be important to the other person. And then you're going to talk about something you're proud of, something you've learned, and something that you want to share with somebody else. And that's really something you teach every single week, or something that people come to you and ask you about all the time. So people come and ask me about social media, or what platform should I be on? And so that's something I could post about. That's already something that people want to know from you, and you're already known for that in the hallways at your company or wherever you go. So post about that. And that's just a recipe for starting to build your personal brand. And yeah, it's weird and awkward to begin with, but people do it all the time, and you just got to get over that hump of the weirdness.
That's so good. You make it seem so doable. And so when you put it that way, something you've learned, something you're proud of, something people ask you about all the time, we can share that.
Yeah.
It keeps it simpler in your mind. It gives you some direction. I hope everybody will go out and post on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever your platform is, but I think that's really great. People do get afraid about the bragging component. When you said, post something you're proud of, people say, well, I don't want to come across as like I'm bragging. But really, if you rethink that and look at it as you're just restating facts about your work, you're restating facts of something you have done.
That's it. I mean, yeah. And you can choose different words and different language so it doesn't come off in that way. That's a super easy way to just post a picture of something and then talk about why it matters to you and why this was important to your industry. And truly, if you're rotating through these types of posts, it's not all look at me, look at me. You're giving value in other ways. So it's not all like one-sided and one-sided feeling, because when you're posting about the thing that you learned about, you're giving a resource to other people that they might not have had. And it has nothing to do with you. It's just coming through your channel. And you're probably shouting out the podcast host or the author of that book too. So you're kind of giving more than you're receiving. I just like to think of it as like an energetic exchange on social media, that you want to feel like you're giving out a service and a value to other people more than you're taking, even though we are out here building our personal brands and using these platforms in a strategic way.
As you share content that is a gift to your audience, think of it like that. You're sharing content, hopefully it is a gift to the people who follow you or listen to you, pay attention to you. That in and of itself builds your personal brand without you being like, oh, I'm so amazing and I'm a keynote speaker and I'm so awesome. You don't have to say that. But when you are treating your content as a gift to your audience, your personal brand grows. So it really does work both ways.
Yeah. And I am so passionate about, especially when we get into our 40s and 50s, I feel like we have so much experience under our belt at that point that it is truly like almost our duty to put out, to teach others, because we are now the inspiration for the next generation. So like, why not them learn from us? Like, why not we be the person that maybe they follow and get inspired by? Just like I'm inspired by Train with Joan. Let me be the Train with Joan for somebody else coming up. So like, we can do that for other people. So think about the other people you're helping more than yourself. And that's a really good way to kind of feel better about this work. But I realize that it can be hard and to keep up with it and to stay consistent. But I really need more women voices out there, like truly, truly, truly. So if you have this desire to want more opportunities, not everybody has to build a personal brand. I am not here to preach that message whatsoever. I don't want to pull you into this if you do not want to be here. I get that. But if you're like leaning in a little bit, or if you're like, oh, this is cool, I see other people doing these things, I see other people getting these opportunities, this is how they're doing it. Yeah. Is they're putting themselves out there and getting over maybe the awkwardness to start, but truly we need more of your voices out there to help other people.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We'll take a break, back with some final thoughts with Katie McKeever right after this. If you're spending too much time on social media and it makes you fall asleep to your life, not wake up to your life, Katie, you've got some tips on how we can sort of manage our time on these platforms.
Yeah, I want us to be intentional, like we've been talking about, just in so many more ways with our online use. And social media just takes up a lot of our time and it gets away from us a lot of times. So there are some ways to really get a handle on this. And I know this is not fun stuff, but like it really can just be a wake-up call to remind you that you can put up ways and tools, put together tools in your tool belt to help manage your time on social media. And I will tell you how I do it and how I've seen other people really successfully do this. And I'm getting really tactical here. Something as simple as putting your phone in another room when you go to sleep. And I know that can be really hard for people sometimes. And I've started doing this probably in the last 6 months to a year. Changes everything, because I'm not sitting in my bed scrolling through, and we all hear about like the blue light that doesn't help you at all and all this stuff. And if it's in another space, it takes a lot for you to get up and walk into that other room to get it. So it really separates you physically and mentally from this, just this wanting to scroll. And it leaves room for other things. Like I've picked up my Kindle and I'm reading a book now. Like, what is this life? It's great. And it helps
reading. I know how to do that. Yes.
Yes. It helps me fall asleep better and all the, boring but good things about life. I get better sleep and, wake up feeling more refreshed. But it's true. It really does help.
All right, so keep that phone in another room if you're tempted to scroll. And keep in mind, too, it's not your fault if you're addicted to your phone. These things are designed to make us addicted. I mean, that is the whole point, right? They want us to keep scrolling and buying and doing all those things. So I think setting those time parameters or physically removing the device, having hours of the day where you are tech-free could be good solutions for sure.
Yes, that's exactly it. There are settings, and just to remind you, if you didn't know, there are settings in social media apps and in your phone, so you can limit your time. You can give yourself a complete time limit. Like on TikTok, you can block your time after 5 minutes, it shuts off. Like there are those opportunities. You can look in your settings, look in the social media app settings, and restrict your time. But I will tell you, just to confess, I bypass all of those. Every time I turn those on my apps, I will snooze them or I'll go back and I'm back to scrolling. So what I did, not a plug, there's this thing called a brick app, or there's multiple other kinds of things like this, but it's a physical device that I put on my refrigerator that I have an app that goes along with it. I have to go and physically touch the refrigerator to turn back on my social media apps. So there are tools out there that can get really detailed and help you in ways. So like if I'm scrolling on my phone and I go and brick my social media apps and I sit back down and I cannot scroll anymore unless I stand back up, go tap my phone on my refrigerator, and I'm back open to scroll on social media. So it makes you think twice and thrice about, do I really want to scroll on my phone right now?
How badly do I want to know how to get a smoky eye right in this moment? How desperate am I for this? All right, we've got 2 minutes left here. Katie, let people know where they can find you if they want to work with you, follow you, all that good stuff.
Oh my goodness, yes, please. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Katie McKeever. Also, if you want my personal brand website or my personal brand workbook, it's katiemckeever.com/321go. You can get a link for it there, or I'm happy to send it to you through Instagram direct message or LinkedIn DM. Reach out to me. I'd love to help you.
I'm also going to give a plug too. You did a training with some of our staff members on how to use LinkedIn, and it was so helpful, so good. Katie's also a speaker. She can help you help your team be more productive online, all that good stuff. Talk about building a personal brand. You are so authentic. It is so fun to follow you. I subscribe to your newsletter. I love it, Katie. Thank you so much for being here. This was a very helpful conversation.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Until next time, you are watching Wake Up to Your Life. We'll see you next time.